What if I told you the reason you can't lose belly fat has nothing to do with food, not your diet, not your calories, not even your workouts? And yet almost everyone chasing fat loss spends 100% of their energy trying to fix those things. Meanwhile, the real problem is running in the background every single day, silently, invisibly, storing fat around your organs no matter how clean you eat or how hard you train. Once you understand what's actually happening, you can start fixing it tonight. And it doesn't require a single change to your diet. One day. But first I need to introduce you to someone. Meet Sarah. Sarah is 44 years old. She's not lazy, she's not undisciplined. She meal preps every Sunday. She tracks her food. She does cardio 4 times a week. She cut out alcohol 3 months ago. She's doing everything the internet told her to do. But every morning she stands in front of the mirror and the belly fat is still there, not budging. And the most exhausting part isn't the workouts. It's the feeling that her body is working against her. That no matter what she does, something is blocking the result she's earned. She's right. Something is blocking it. But it's not her food. It's not her exercise. It's a hormone most people never think about when they talk about fat loss. It's cortisol. Here's what cortisol actually does. Most people know it as the stress hormone. They think about it during a bad day at work or an argument with someone. What almost nobody realizes is that cortisol is running a parallel program inside your body, completely separate from what you eat, that directly controls where your body stores fat, specifically visceral fat, the deep fat, the dangerous fat packed around your organs that drives inflammation, wrecks insulin sensitivity, and increases your risk of heart disease and metabolic syndrome. Here's the mechanism. When cortisol is elevated, your body releases glucose into the bloodstream as emergency fuel. Insulin rises to manage that glucose. And when insulin rises, your body locks into storage mode, not burning mode, storage. And cortisol has a specific preference for where it sends that stored energy, directly to the abdomen, around the organs, exactly where you don't want it. This is why people under chronic stress, even people who eat perfectly, carry stubborn belly fat that simply will not move. Because the problem isn't the food going in, it's the hormone deciding where everything goes. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because Sarah's cortisol problem wasn't coming from where she thought. She assumed stress meant feeling stressed. Big moments, deadlines, arguments, the obvious stuff. What she didn't know is that cortisol responds to a much longer list of triggers than most people realize. Poor sleep raises cortisol, skipping meals raises cortisol, doing too much cardio raises cortisol, eating in a calorie deficit that's too aggressive raises cortisol, drinking caffeine too late raises cortisol, scrolling through negative news at night raises cortisol. Sarah was doing several of these things every single day without connecting any of them to her belly fat. She thought she was being disciplined. Her body thought it was under siege. And a body under siege does one thing above everything else. It holds on to fat, especially in the abdomen, especially visceral fat. Because from a survival perspective, that fat is emergency fuel, and cortisol's job is to protect it. And now the twist that changes everything. Here's what nobody tells you about cortisol and fat loss. The harder you try, the worse it can get. More cardio, more restriction, more discipline, more stress on the body, more cortisol, more belly fat storage. Sarah was caught in exactly this loop. Every time the scale didn't move, she pushed harder, cut more, ran more, slept less because she was waking up early to fit in workouts. And her cortisol kept climbing, her body kept storing, and she kept blaming her food. The real problem wasn't effort. It was the hormonal environment that effort was creating. And until that environment changed, nothing else could. So what actually lowers cortisol and starts moving visceral fat? The answer is not what most people expect. It's not a supplement. It's not a specific food. It's not a new workout protocol. It's 4 specific daily behaviors that directly signal safety to your nervous system and shift your body out of chronic stress mode and into fat-burning mode. The first behavior is protecting your sleep like it's your most important training session, because it is. When you sleep fewer than 7 hours, cortisol the next day is measurably higher, and higher cortisol the next day means more visceral fat storage the next day. Research published in 2025 confirmed that chronic sleep restriction increases cortisol by up to 37% during afternoon and evening hours, exactly when your body should be winding down and shifting into recovery mode. Sarah was sleeping 6 hours, sometimes 5.5, waking up exhausted, pushing through on caffeine, and wondering why her body felt like it was fighting her. It was because exhausted bodies raise cortisol, and high cortisol stores belly fat. Fix the sleep first. Everything else follows. The second behavior is pulling back on cardio and adding walking. This one is hard for people to accept. But here's the biology. Steady-state cardio, especially long sessions done in a calorie deficit, raises cortisol significantly. A 2025 review in Sports Medicine confirmed that chronic endurance exercise in a calorie deficit elevates cortisol and suppresses testosterone simultaneously. That combination is metabolically catastrophic for anyone trying to lose visceral fat. Walking does the opposite. 10 to 20 minutes of walking, especially after meals, lowers cortisol, stabilizes blood sugar, and improves insulin sensitivity without adding stress to the system. Sarah swapped 2 of her weekly cardio sessions for daily walks. Her cortisol markers dropped within 3 weeks. Her waistline followed. The third behavior is eating enough. Not more than you need, but enough. Aggressive calorie restriction is one of the most overlooked cortisol triggers in fat loss. When your body doesn't have enough fuel coming in, it reads that as a famine signal. Cortisol rises to mobilize emergency energy, and ironically, visceral fat gets protected rather than burned, because the body prioritizes keeping that deep reserve intact for survival. Sarah was eating 1,200 calories. She thought that was the answer. It was part of the problem. When she brought her intake up to a moderate deficit, 1,500 calories with adequate protein, her cortisol response softened. Her hunger stabilized, and the scale started moving for the first time in months. The fourth behavior is the one most people skip entirely because it doesn't feel like doing something. It's a deliberate cortisol wind down in the hour before sleep. No news, no social media, no stressful conversations, no work emails. Instead, dim light, quiet movement, something genuinely calming. This isn't soft advice. A 2025 study published in Psychoneuroendocrinology found that a structured pre-sleep relaxation routine reduced cortisol levels by up to 28% within 2 weeks. 28%. That's not a small shift. That's a hormonal environment completely transformed. And when cortisol is low going into sleep, growth hormone can surge, insulin stays low, and your body runs its overnight fat-burning shift the way it was designed to. Here's what happened to Sarah. She didn't change her diet dramatically. She didn't add more workouts. She protected her sleep. She replaced 2 cardio sessions with daily walks. She brought her calories up to a real number, and she started a simple wind-down routine before bed. Within 3 weeks, her energy came back. Within 5 weeks, her waistline started to change. Not because she finally found the right diet, but because she stopped flooding her body with the hormone that was storing fat in the first place. This doesn't mean calories don't matter. They do. It doesn't mean exercise doesn't matter. It does. But if you're already doing those things and still feel stuck, cortisol is almost certainly the missing lever. Because fat loss isn't just about what you eat. It's about the hormonal environment you live in every single day. So tonight, before you plan your next workout or adjust your macros again, ask yourself one question. Is your body in a state that feels safe enough to let go of fat? Because until the answer is yes, no diet in the world will give you the result you're working for. And the most powerful shift you can make might not be doing more. It might be finally giving your body permission to stop holding on. If this landed for you, subscribe. Because next week we're breaking down exactly how your liver controls fat burning and why most people over 40 are unknowingly blocking it every single morning. That video connects directly to everything we covered today. You won't want to miss it.